Hello, I'm Ferrelmagnetism. I'm a hobbyist musician, and today I'm going to show you how I mixed Ferrelmagnetism. Now this song seems to be quite good because I made it into a compilation of 30 other musicians, so I'm actually quite good there. And I think the winning formula is the claps. Now the claps have this distinct sound, I think, which I made with inspiration from a friend of mine who doesn't seem to be online anymore. Well, he claims he's an audio engineer, so basically this had a lot of distortion and it has a lot of presence and fullness, so that's why it has this airy and a bit of a mystical feel to it. Now I'm not going to lie on the internet, so I'm not going to say I'm an audio engineer. I'm going to say I'm a hobbyist, so I do not know much about it. But this is how I mixed it. First up, the EQ, but before the EQ, this is the patch. I'm going to solo the track. Basically, it's a Roland 909 emulation, so that's about it. So now you can see that the track is not mixed, and you can see there's a lot of low room compared to the other parts of the track. There's a lot of low room to the track. There's a lot of low sounds, booming sounds. Basically, its frequency is less than 1K. It's a rough estimate. So what I did for the original track is I cut frequencies up to 1K about here like this, so that the claps, though now soft, later be louder, the claps will be less interfering with all the bass instruments and all the instruments that occupy around this region. And so now the claps have you need a lot of presence for the claps, and you need it to bite through the mix. So I'll raise this high shelf filter, if I'm not wrong. So called high shelf filter, probably about 6 decibels, so that it's you rise around and you just stop around about 3K. Now it is important to consider this curve because the curve is not a 90-degree angle, so this curve will actually go down and you stop about here, and that's about 3K. That's what I want, right? Am I correct? Yeah, that's about 3K. Without this width. Basically now you can feel that the track has no presence and is biting through the mix. This is especially important later if I want to distort it with reverb and stuff things. Now if you can see for the track, I know you can't hear the claps properly, but you can start to hear it now because this is mixed with all the effects in. Now you can see for the bass, you can see, if you can hear, that's good too. You can see for the bass, I actually I actually rose the bass. I made these frequencies more prominent because that's actually where the biting of the bass is, and you have a bit of biting. But then because I did this for the bass, I need to compensate for these claps. If not, the mix will sound muddy and it won't sound tight. So I need to reduce it by about the same amount, about 7.5 decibels. I know you can't hear it much now, and I'm not on studio monitor headphones, so it is about 7.5 or 6, minus 6 to 7.5 decibels. So now that is fitting like a jigsaw puzzle, you can see. Now all these are compensated for other tracks, so I don't need to worry about that. It's just that this part here, where the bass is more prominent, it's not compensated for any track yet. So I need to compensate it with the claps. So now it sounds a little bit is with without. It sounds a little bit strange, but altogether it should sound nice. Now, so I've done the channel EQ. Now the second thing I do is I do a tape delay. So this tape delay actually emulates delay from a tape, and I know this is not conventional for, okay, maybe it's conventional for synthwave, but never mind. You can hear that now for the delay there's too much claps. It's like the claps all over the place. It's an audio nightmare, so I'm going to reduce this to about half time. Now it sounds better, but then you can see that it doesn't sound good because it's crashing again, so maybe I'll reduce this to about 10%. Now you can see that it's good, but you can see that there's not enough claps now. There's not enough claps. It goes down too fast. It goes basically the reverb will actually repeat the sound, but with a decreasing volume level every time, and it goes down to 0 decibels way too quick. So I need to increase the presence to about 39%. So now I can hear it. Now what I'm going to do is unconventional for synthwave. So I'm going to bring the clip threshold down to about 8.9%. Basically what I'm doing, 8.9%. So okay, maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it changed because I brought it down to 8.9 in the previous mix. Basically, if you can hear it, what it actually does is that it makes the delay more saturated in a sense. Basically, it's distortion, but it focuses more on the harmonics. It's saturation. So take it as if it's distorted. You know, your sad violin when you play at distorted levels is something like that. But the thing is, apart from memes, distortion can come in handy by gluing the mix together, and that's exactly what I did for this. So the first thing is to glue the reverb, the delay, together. So now the delay is glued, and now it sounds a bit better. So the next thing I do is, I know this workflow is not very professional, but this is what I did to achieve the sound exactly. For now, I use exciter. Basically, what this does, if I increase this knob for harmonics, it makes the sound like there's a high pass filter to it. But actually, I guess it's doing something like that. But it's supposed to increase the sound to make it more excited and make it more bright. So I guess about here 6.48% is good enough for the claps. Now so that's done. Now for the chroma reverb, which is basically a reverb that is built into the latest version of Logic Pro is 10.8. For the reverb, it replaces another reverb, but I think I'll be borrowing it to the Vital on that. So now I use the digital reverb here. This is to add more room. But instead of doing just normally, just adding this amount of reverb, I'm going to crank up the reverb to quite a lot. I'm going to crank it up about 2.70 seconds, and you'll see the purpose of that later. Now it sounds a bit muddy in the mix, but luckily we have these cuts here. It is basically the factory default setting. Basically what this does is it reduces areas of boxiness in the reverb to make the sound more tight, then the mix better. It's like, it sounds like a cardboard box without this hitting on the cardboard box. So basically that is done. I know there's a lot of effects now, but the next effect will change it all. It will change your life forever. And this effect is the one that I like the most. It's basically a Fat FX. Basically this came from a company called Camel Audio, which Apple bought over. So now I reduce everything, limited off. So all I want is the distortion here. All I want is distortion. So basically, put all to 0 first. What I want to do is to put this to either, I think it's diode distortion. Increase it. You can see it becomes extremely loud. If I did this again, what I'll do is that I'll gain stage audio again, or what you do is you adjust the volume again. So now you see that it's very, very bright. You can see it's really a bit too loud. Maybe I didn't apply that much distortion, the diode. Maybe it's about 40%. Yeah, it's about there. Yeah, about 40% about that. So now you can see that it sounds very biting, and the reason why I did a tip delay and especially mostly a reverb is because of that. I want it to go through the Fat FX plugin so that you distort a lot and you produce that sound. It's like it's glued together, you know. So the next effect I do is a tremolo, is the last one. For a tremolo, if I can find it in the modulation section. For tremolo, I reduced it to half because again, if not, it will pan. Basically, what this does is to pan from left to right. Yeah, stereo headphones can hear it. Okay, it pans from left to right. If I did it 1/4, it sounds like madness unless you're doing dubstep. So basically, let's reduce this about 38%. So it's a bit of tremolo, but there's not much. Now it sounds nice. So that's all I did for the tremolo. That's how I treat this sound. One more thing before I go though, is that this compressor here. You can see that this knob is not moving. Basically what I'm doing is I'm running through this compressor dry. I'm running through this compressor dry is an emulation of a vintage opto compressor called Teltronics LA2A, which costs about about $3,000. Basically, it's a lot of money. Now it's sold by Universal Audio, but yeah, I don't think you need to know that. So all you need to know is that I applied soft distortion. Basically, this emulates the vintage distortion. Last time equipment used to be quite bad, but it produced every compressor produced some distortion. So basically, I applied that. Unfortunately for the claps, it didn't work well, but I actually applied this distortion for every single clip in the track, and especially for the strings, it helped. I'm switching on and off, and I think you can see there's a bit of a biting sound to it. So yes, apart from that, that's all I have time for today for Ferrelmagnetism. I just wanted to show you how I did the claps. And I know there's a lot of other automation. You can see I think volume automation. You see all the volume automation all over the place, so it's dynamically modified, it's not static, which is not what I usually do, but I spend a lot of effort on this one. So basically this is all I have for today. If you want to donate to Charity Aid Foundation, you click on the link in the description if I do remember. But apart from that, that's all for today. I'll see you in another video. Goodbye.